So you're stuck. How do you get moving again? Hi everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Exploration series. This week I wanted to talk about creative droughts and creative blocks, and just generally that state of mind that blocks your creative momentum and stops you from just making new things or continuing projects that are already in process. And this is something that's been asked for me to talk about for quite some time, which is really flattering. I'm glad that people have been kind of picking this show up a little bit. And really, this is personal to me because on Wednesday during my stream, I got hit with a really, really bad creative block, and it's fresh in my mind right now. So I kind of want to sit down and talk about it real quick. So when you have a creative block, you're just the most basic way of putting it is you have what you want in your head. You know what you want to say or do or write, but you're just unable to transfer that to your hands or to your output. You're not able to put it out into the world. So in your head, you might have this piece of music that sounds really great, but whatever you do on the piano or anywhere else, it doesn't have the same feeling or emotion that it has in your head. And it's creative blocks, I feel, generally stem from this disconnect. And there are other ways that a creative block can happen. I mean, sometimes the project is half completed or it's almost completed, and you can't find those finishing touches that finish the project off, or you have like a full idea in mind, like for a story or something else, and you're just unable to start. You just don't know how to get those first words on the page or that first page in the book. So you just don't have that momentum to start. Now, I feel like with creative blocks, it's most important to learn how to recognize it, because recognizing it allows you to take a step back and understand what's going on, and then it allows you to try to fix that in a mindful and deliberate way. Now, I think that this really differs from person to person. I know that when I'm running into creative blocks, I'm not able to focus. I tend to procrastinate a ton. And, being always at the computer doesn't always help with that. And like I mentioned, if you have a very big difficulty creating what you hear in your head or what you see in your mind, if you have difficulty transferring that out onto the computer or on the paper, that might be a strong indicator of a creative block. Sometimes it's just frustration, and that frustration eventually evolves into just wanting to quit and walk away from the project altogether. So, and there are a ton of other signs for this, and those are really the ones that speak out for me. But being able to recognize these feelings or signs and being able to take a step back when that happens and reevaluate your situation, I think that that's really, really important for dealing with creative blocks. So now that you've recognized it and you understand that you have a creative block, how do you overcome it? Now, there are a lot of different ways to handle this as well. And like I said, with everything else, it's going to be different for everybody. And I think that's one of the reasons why talking about creative blocks is so difficult, because every single person is different. And there's just no silver bullet. There's no one way to fix everybody's creative blocks. But I have a couple suggestions, some things that work for me. So the one that I like is to just start simple. And part of that is just starting with something very simple and basic. But on top of that, it's lowering your expectations for what you expect to output. And that's sometimes the biggest driver of a creative block is that you just expect something incredible right out of the gate. And sometimes you just have to lower those expectations down. So you're just going to start with something very simple and basic, and then you can use that creative momentum that you have to move forward and create larger things from it. Sometimes it's just taking a break. And I know that I've done that from time to time, where I either just walk away from the computer for a minute or two while I'm streaming, or sometimes I take a break from music for like 2 or 3 days. If I'm having a bad time with it, then I just decide to do something else for a while. And usually when I come back, I'm able to regroup and start fresh on something and at least start moving forward again. And one of my favorite ways of dealing with creative blocks is to create randomness. And this is kind of like creating opportunities for you to jump off of and just kind of work with new and weird things that you might not be comfortable with, but since it's random and it's kind of out of your control, you have the excuse of saying, well, this isn't good, but you know, it's because it was randomly generated. And sometimes just being able to make stuff without having that like weight of expected quality is really, really freeing. So, okay. In my case, last Wednesday, I was having serious issues concentrating. Like, I wasn't even able to form words or coherent sentences sometimes. It was super bad. Like, I started 4 song ideas before really sticking to one. Now, in my case, I think my creative block was tied to my diet, which is something that doesn't really happen terribly often. I made the mistake of not really eating much that day, and I was tired, so I drank like half an energy drink before the stream. And after like the initial burst of energy that I had, I crashed super hard. And somebody on stream suggested that I'd like eat some crackers and just walk around for a little bit, and that actually genuinely helped a ton. So like, it's not always very obvious what is happening, but being able to realize what's going on and taking action will allow you to sometimes alleviate the problem, or at least step beside it. So like everything related to creativity, having the knowledge to recognize what is going on can really do wonders for being able to overcome those issues. So I know this video was kind of short and it doesn't really touch on everything, but I also feel that creative blocks are actually very personal, and it's not always a solution that works for everything when it comes to these. So when you have a creative block, take a step back and explore what exactly might be going wrong. Because if you can find out what's going wrong, then you have a much better chance of being able to fix it. So, do you have any stories about creative blocks or tips on how to overcome them? I'll be responding to comments below. I'd really love to hear what you think about this. Thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you in the next video. Be remarkable.